Sometimes we make a lot of very good promises to ourselves, progressive promises to ourselves, which we fail to fulfill. We tell ourselves, the day I will get money, I will be able to do this and the other. The day I get money, I'll be able to save, I'll be able to invest. The day I get money, I'll be able to spend it in a way that will help me to progress in life. But the day you get the money, then you forget that you had made some important promises to yourself. Welcome to A Word from the Coach. In this episode, we take a temporary break from what we've been doing in the previous episodes, where we have been discussing about retirement. We will come back to retirement. There are still other areas that we need to talk about. But I need to share with you something different today. And it's a story, just a portion of my story, and we pick a few lessons from it. It's a tiny portion, very tiny portion. But before we get into it, if this is your first time here, please subscribe to this channel. If you like what you are getting here, please like this video, drop us a comment, share it with others. Let me know which other areas you would want me to talk about. If you have a question, drop it in the comment section, and I'll be glad to make another Word from the Coach video in response to the same. All right, so let's get into it. So after I graduated from the university and I'm looking for a job, I want to get a footing in the workspace. I landed my first job as an untrained teacher in one of the secondary schools in Nairobi CBD. And I was living in Kawangware, and I was earning a whooping 5,000 Kenya shillings. Yes, 5,000 Kenya shillings. And I really tried. I remember I would be able to squeeze a lot of things in these 5,000 Kenya shillings. I was able to do quite a lot of things. I remember I used to live in a Mabati house that I was paying 800 Kenya shillings. And I would squeeze a number of things from the money. Of course, it was not enough to take care of everything, because I would still have to walk to work in the morning. Then in the evening, I would stand in a bus and pay 15 shillings, or do a train to Jamhuri and pay 15 shillings, then walk the remaining part of the journey to Kawangware. But I was managing. So I remember I began to make a certain prayer to God, and I was telling God, if only you blessed me with another job that would pay me 10,000 shillings. 10,000 bob, then I would become financially stable. I will continue squeezing myself in this current lifestyle, and I'll be able to save the extra amount, and before long I'll be able to begin the process of wealth creation. And I looked like I was focused, and I told God, look, just do your thing. Bless me with this new job that can pay me 10,000 shillings, and I think I'll be home and dry. God answers prayers, and he answers them in his own style, and his style is a very interesting style. So I got another job, and that was when I was joining banking, and my income jumped, not from 5 to 10, but it moved from 5 to 22 for a while. And the excitement of this new job overcame me, and before long I forgot the promise I had made that if I got 10,000 shillings, I would start to save, I would continue living my current lifestyle. And when I began getting this new income, I discovered that there was new need for me to adjust my way of living. This new job required that I needed to be wearing suits every day. I did not have suits, so I needed to buy suits so that I could look the part. Now, when I started wearing the suits, I realized that I started looking like an alien where I was staying, because there was no one around wearing suits. And so even coming home or leaving home in those suits became cumbersome, and there emerged the need for me to move to another house that would possibly accommodate the new me or the change that was happening in my life. So I moved houses, went to another house. So my rent grows from 800 shillings to somewhere in the regions of 4,000 shillings. And then I discovered this time round, I cannot afford to walk to the CBD because I need to be visiting clients and selling this big brand. And so if I were to walk to the CBD, then I'll have sweated, I'll probably be smelling. And therefore, I need to be commuting to and fro. And I also need money to be traveling to meet clients wherever they are. I need to start wearing some cologne. I need to have something. I need to look the part. And so before I knew it, I had adjusted my lifestyle. I was not able to save anything for the duration that I was earning that amount of money. Before long, I was in a new struggle, and the money was not enough again. I would start to borrow from here and there to make ends meet. And I started telling God, look, if you only now made this to 30,000, then I think I'll be home. And this time round, for sure, I will remember to start saving so that I can be able to take care of any unforeseen circumstances in the future. And I can also begin to create wealth. So I tell God, look, just do your thing one last time. This time round, you do me 30,000, I think I'll be good. And again, God, in His mercies and in His faithfulness, blessed me with another job. So I moved from this bank to the next bank, and I get something in the region of the 30,000 I was praying for. But again, life has to adjust. And I remember even previously, because I was working in the city, I would begin to imagine that my life is a bit difficult financially because I am in the city. And I would say, if only I was in the rural setting, if only I was outside Nairobi, then my money story would change because the expenses would be fewer, and I would have plenty of money to save and plenty of other things to do. And so while He was answering this new prayer, He answered it in its entirety. So I got another job that paid me what I was praying for, but then moved me from Nairobi and took me to upcountry. And so I am expected now to begin saving. But now my life begins to adjust. I have very many demands coming, both for myself and even from my family. And life is changing. So I have a new lifestyle. And before I know it, the new amount has been swallowed. And the struggle continues. So I begin to borrow money, and I'm getting tied into the struggles bit by bit. Then I'm also again telling God, look, now, because that time I was still working as a contract staff, and I'm telling God, now just do your thing. Just allow me now to enter mainstream banking so that I can also be part of the permanent and pensionable team. That way, I think I can be able to put my things in place. I can be able to afford formal loans and be able to put my life on track. God is faithful. Before long, He blessed me with that opportunity, and I joined mainstream banking. My income adjusted a bit, and now I was permanent and pensionable. And back then, the term permanent and pensionable was a very serious term. It had a lot of meaning. These days, it does not have meaning. This thing called job security is no longer there. You can't have both of those two things at once. You either have a job or you have security, but you cannot have job security. That is absolute. All right, so I'm excited. I get into mainstream banking, and I'm still in the rural areas. I've not come back to Nairobi. But again, I'm adjusting life, and I'm getting excited. There's a lot being dangled in my face. I have been promised that I can be able to afford a loan after confirmation. And so after confirmation, I don't disappoint. I borrow the entire amount that I could qualify for. I spruce up my life a bit, buy a few new suits, furnish my house a bit, do a few things for my folks in the village, and in record 4 days, the money was done. And 30 days later, deductions are loaded. That's when I'm reminded that this was a loan. This was not free money. So when deductions are loaded, I realize the remaining amount is now struggling. It can barely take me 20 days from payday. That means I am forced to borrow to complete the remaining days from when the money gets finished to the next payday. And those of you that have listened to my story in my struggles with debt, you've heard me say how I started borrowing from one colleague here to another to try and bridge the gap. But then I discovered my colleagues, most of them were operating on the same budget curve as myself. Chances were high that when I was struggling, they were also struggling. You know those ones where you go to someone and you narrate to them your problem. You want them to lend you money. You know how we start we start giving the story from afar. So we bring it bit by bit. We are trying to whip them into the emotional corner, what I call the warrior corner, so that they can be able to lend you money. And so you give someone your story, and then at the end of the day, the person tells you, now, listen, let me give you mine. And they give you a moving story. You feel like you should be the one giving them money. So that's when I got introduced to Shylock borrowing. And man, I borrowed from those people religiously, month in, month out, year in, year out, until I received the famous trophy. You've heard me say, I am still the only award-winning borrower this side of the universe. Now, I was describing my income journey, and my income kept growing, but there is something that was happening. Every time I was getting tied in debt, and I would be looking forward to the next pay rise, I would be looking forward to the next increment, I would be looking forward to the next promotion, and I'm not looking forward to the promotion so that I could work at a different capacity, but I'm looking at the promotion as an avenue to give me extra borrowing ability so that I can access some top-up and probably clear the mess that I am in. But every time I would move to the next level, I would get the increment, I would borrow money, I would try clearing, but there were a lot of things on my plate. And I realized then I was chasing something that could not be caught. And I've seen this in very many people's lives, the people I work with one-on-one, and the people who write to me and tell me how their story of life looks like. You begin to realize that it is not a question of income. That we keep chasing this money, thinking that when we move to the next bracket, then our life is going to change. Our life might change on the outside, because we will borrow to buy a car, we will be seen driving, we will be seen doing all these sorts of things. But that time, I was not living my true life. I would be doing what was popular. When I'm in a space where all colleagues are trying to acquire houses through mortgage, I would jump into it and pick a mortgage and acquire a house without thinking through it, without evaluating to see whether I was ready or fit for it at that time. When I'm in a space where colleagues are having vehicles, I also have the pressure to also have a vehicle. And so I would be driving. So from the outside, I look to be, or I seem to be doing very well. But the truth is that my financial story is getting complicated every other day. I am sinking deep into unwarranted debt every other day. And that's how I got myself into the mess that I got into. But that's a story I'll give you another day. We will do a full story. It's a big story about how I got messed in debt and my journey maneuvering around the same. But I want us to pick some 4 lessons that I picked out of this story of chasing increasing income and promising myself that when I get this level of income, I will not go back to my borrowing spree. I will fix my financial house. I'll be able to start growing. I'll be able to be doing things and so on. But then every time I would get to grow, then I would not be able to do whatever I promised to do. Number 1, that financial success is not a question of how much money you are earning, but it is a question of how much money you are able to retain Convert your retained one into seed that you can send to multiply through investment. That you may earn a lot of money. And I have seen a lot of people earning a lot of money, but because they are not conscious, they are not deliberate about retaining a portion of what they earn, they are still hand-to-mouth kinds of people. I know people who will earn incomes in the hundreds of thousands of shillings, but they are struggling like any other person. And I like saying financial struggles are not respecters of position, not respecters of the amount of money you earn. If you are reckless with your expenditure, you will face the same consequences that can be faced by anyone else, regardless of who you are in society. It doesn't matter how much you're earning today. What matters is how you are planning yourself to be able not to spend everything, to retain something, and begin to start your journey of wealth creation from where you are with what you have. And I've made several videos. The first, I think, 2 or 3 videos in this series of A Word from the Coach are videos on wealth creation. So you might need to revisit them and just get to learn the process of wealth creation so that then you understand what I am talking about. Lesson number 2. If you do not manage your expenditure through disciplined budgeting, then there will always be trouble. In all these days where my income was growing and I was praying for more income and the prayers would be answered, the truth is I was living a carefree life in terms of how I would spend my money. I do not have a recollection of me sitting down to plan and execute a budget, to sit down and say that this is what I earn and this is how I will spend my money. So I'll be earning money and then just spending. And then where the money gets finished, I sink into debt, as a supplement to help me complete the journey. And that's how then I got myself messed up. So please remember, however much you earn, if you want to test success in the world of money, please remember to sit down and plan and budget and give your money names. Call your money rent, call your money food, call your money entertainment, call your money whatever you will call it. That is what budgeting does. Because in the absence of that, then your money will answer to any name it is called. And then there is danger there. That's how then you find your money getting finished before you have executed the most important things in your life. Lesson number 3, even though this I picked much earlier, is that if you are consistently aggressive in your search for greener pastures, in the fullness of time you will get. There are very many people who complain about their current incomes, but they are not doing anything about it. They will be crying left, right, and center about how their income has not grown, about how their employer is insensitive, has not done anything else to increase their income, but they are glued in one place. They have skills they can try elsewhere, but they are comfortable. Others are suffering from fear, and therefore they are not willing to try. There are those who will try make one application, and then when they get a regret for that one application, then they want to give up. Sometimes you will make 1,000 applications, but as long as you are consistent, you are persistent in your search for greener pastures, if that is what you want, you will get it in the fullness of time. Just learn the new tricks in the market, how is a proper CV done, and then be consistent in looking for the opportunities and applying them and applying for them. And every time you get regrets, get to know why they are giving you regrets and keep learning from the process to make your next application better and so on. In the fullness of time, you will get it. And sometimes when I speak about career development, I have told many people, if you are in an organization and you realize that your career is a bit stuck, there are instances where you would look ahead and you discover that it's a bit jammed. The positions you want are occupied now, and it will take you ages for you to get there. Sometimes I have told people that there is always a service lane in the career journey. And the service lane is where you move from the current place and you go to the service lane. You go to other places And when you go to the other places, you have a better chance of growing your income a bit faster than where you are. And then later on, you can rejoin the main highway. And those of you that are in the corporate spaces, you know people who have maneuvered through the service lanes and they came back to the organization. And today they are several levels ahead of you because you were stuck there waiting to grow organically. So I'm just encouraging you that if you're that person that I'm describing, don't give up just because you made 1 or 2 applications. Just send them. You lose nothing by sending, but be deliberate with the journey. Be keen to learn from the mistakes you might be making in the current applications. Every time you get a regret, if it is possible, you can reach out to them and ask them, to give you feedback on why probably they did not consider you or why they didn't see you as the best fit for the position. Please be taking those notes so that next time then as you make applications, then you can be able to align your application. And don't just be applying casually. Please be keen on what the job description is so that as you align your CV, then you can be able to do it properly. You don't just apply for the sake of application. The fourth lesson that we pick from that short story is that and this is a lesson I have given in other videos, that for you to go far financially, you have to be willing, you have to be ready, you have to be bold enough to make unpopular decisions. Unpopular decisions are decisions you make without caring what others are going to say or what others are doing, without wanting to be like others, without the fear of missing out. There are very many things I used to do because everyone was doing them. And later on, they burnt my fingers big time. In fact, all the things I bought because everyone was buying, I lost them. The properties and all those things, I lost them. I started reconstructing my life the day I started living me. The day I started making my own decisions, the day I became my own person, the day I stopped comparing myself with others, the day I made peace with the rate of my progress, the day I was okay with how things were flowing in my life. As long as I had my vision in place and I would see and I was able to see progress happening, I was fine. That is the day things started happening. So for as long as you're still comparing yourself with others, for as long as you're still competing with other people whose stories you know nothing about, you are still putting your financial journey in jeopardy. Be your own person. Learn to say no where no is due. You cannot go far being a yes person, entertaining everything, saying yes to every proposal. Learn to say no where no is due. Be your own person. Resist the temptation of comparison and competition. It's a big enemy, not just in financial growth, but it's a big enemy in progress in life entirely. Good people, I hope I have said something that will ignite some progress in your personal life. And if that is the case, then I just want to remind you to like this video. Please share it with others. Again, if this is your first time here, please remember to subscribe to this channel. Let me know which other areas you'd want me to talk about. If you have a question, please feel free to ask the same in the comment section or in our various inboxes. And I'll be glad to do another word from the coach video in response to the same. See you again next time. You can do better.